Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy, and this is a particular note if you drive an electric vehicle. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by John, that's Refracted Curvature, the Adam Meakin, Brian's Logic, 10th Man, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good morning.
How you doing, huh?
How am I doing, Joey? We've been watching Friends over Christmas. It's good fun. Can't beat 90s sitcoms. Should we do housekeeping, or did you want to carry on with the conversation we were having in the pre-show, which is to moan about teachers that are in the flat earth arena?
No, I would just go with that. Whatever you want to do.
Well, I was just explaining to Neil, because in previous shows, when he talks about the education system, I'm very apathetic and kind of almost indifferent. Well, when it comes to this arena, which is what I do basically for a living on YouTube, which is Flat Earth, the teachers in this arena fill me with the most disdain of any particular individual. Your average Joe teacher doesn't know that they're lying to the children when they teach them the heliocentric nonsense that we brace against. A teacher in this arena does, and they have to lie to get around it, like Charles is a good example. Yep, there's a special place in hell for those people. If you're a teacher in this arena, yeah, there's a special place in hell just for you. The rest of you teachers... Go on, sorry.
No, just saying, R.C. Moisty claims to be a teacher also.
Yep,
and he claims
special place in hell. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go, John, go.
I was going to say that the teachers that aren't aware of the argument that's being had right now can't be held accountable for that argument. But the ones that are involved in it, that can be shown to be willfully lying, that's just disgusting, because that means they're willfully lying to children.
Well, actually, in both instances, there's no accountability in the UK. I don't know about the States, but certainly as far as I can ascertain, or I'll be honest, has been ascertained for me and then shown to me, it's actually down to the head teacher as opposed to the teacher. So the responsibility or the buck lies with them, the head teacher, not with the teacher in that respect, in terms of that particular structure of what they'll teach the kids and their responsibilities, make sure it's correct, etc., etc. Well, they can absolve themselves from guilt in that regard, but that isn't really something I care about. You know, the letter of the law in that regard. Who cares? It's like, if you know it's a lie and you lie, then that's it. That's where the line gets drawn. If you're also lying to yourself and you justify it because of it, I don't care.
Well, as long as they're working within the curriculum.
Hold on. What if they start teaching 2 + 2 is 6? It's okay then?
Hold on, I was
when
about
are we
to say
going to nip this in the bud
That's
here?
different. That's different, Neil. The equivalent would be...
How's it different?
Hold on. Well, because I'm about to tell you. The equivalent, the thing that would not be different, would be to say something like the teachings of the church when it came to fire and brimstone that we discussed yesterday. If the church school teaches that as being something that's around the corner, might happen again, etc., etc., then there might be people who find that objectionable. But in a church school, that's what you get. Well, in a heliocentric school, a state school, whatever you want to call it, that's what you get.
I disagree. I think there was another stupid exam that my son or I had to take where 2 + 2 did equal 6. Go and take the exam. Tell him that 2 + 2 = 6. Get me mark and move on.
That's
Really?
not the point,
Hold
Adam.
on,
You know
hold
what
on.
the point? Oh, wait. You know the point I'm trying to make.
Hold on, Neil. I drew a line under that as though it was absurd and would never happen. You're saying if it did, you'd go along with it just to get the kid his grade?
We already are doing. We're already conceding certain things in terms of certain things that are taught, so that we have objection to. As I've said, it's not a matter of getting my son to correct it within that system. That system serves a purpose in the Matrix. So go in there, deal with that, but make sure he knows it's nonsense. Yeah, as long as I know that he knows that 2 + 2 is 4, but they want him to tell him it's 6 in this circumstance, or they want me to describe a molten iron core, or fossilization, or whatever. Whether he's got whatever story, just like he has to recite Shakespeare and regurgitate that back to him, whatever's required for those Matrix credits, go and do.
I understand.
Then I'll spend my time with him,
okay.
educating him properly.
I see. So you're saying it's not viewed as an education anymore, it's viewed as Matrix credits. And Matrix credits are gained by being able to parrot narratives. Not necessarily believing them, just being able to parrot them correctly and accurately on a test sheet for an hour with a load of other kids sat next to you under high-pressure circumstances. If you can parrot the narrative correctly, then you've got that Matrix credit.
Yep. Is Agent Smith the teacher?
Yeah.
But that's that. All that said, that is what used to be there. The important thing for your child is you as the parent being the teacher. They're just teaching him facts to regurgitate. I'm their teacher.
Then nothing's going to change.
What do you want to change?
Be in this freaking corner forever.
Okay. Calm down. What did you want to change?
The nature of reality. I want the truth. Can anybody handle the truth?
No, you can't. You're the arbiter of that, Neil.
I teach my kids the truth. I got one 19-year-old that debates me all the time, and it's nonsense whatever he comes up with. He's corrupting the other two.
Okay.
But if the truth would get out a little faster, maybe I'd have a little peace in my home.
Okay, Neil. I think what you want is a standard that society lays down, which is a consensus agreement in that regard. Would I be right in that?
No, I just want truth. The way they teach math, teach everything.
No, you want the truth to be taught to all. That's very different. It's not as a blanket statement of I want truth. I want and have got that. But you want more than that. You want it to be disseminated to all and sundry. Now, there's people who've gone out of their way to attain control of doing that, Neil. Yeah?
The problem is, Neil, that we're just not big enough as a group. I'm not just talking about us. I'm just talking about people who want truth. Aren't big enough as a group. Those who are interested in it aren't big enough and powerful enough as a group at this present time.
Because they're being fed lies, though.
Neil, just calm down a sec. Go ahead, Brian.
Give me a moment. Yeah. It'll take time for that to happen. It won't happen while maybe your kids are in school. It'll take a bit longer than that. It is happening. But it's not happening.
I'm sorry, what's happening?
You wanted to.
What's happening, Brian? What's it?
What's happening is that bit by bit, people are starting to realise what the truth is in the world, as opposed to what they were led to believe it was.
Really? Do you really think that?
Well, yeah, I'm seeing it myself with close relatives and stuff. Not exactly flat out, but other things. They're spotting other things, kind of going, this is not right. People would have argued with me 3 years ago, aren't arguing with me about certain subjects now. Things change. People will see the truth eventually, but it'll take time.
I agree with you. I would summarise it though as there are now more individuals that have that are seeing this. It's not a group thing. I used to think it was, but it's not. It's an individual choice. The information's there when you decide to access it. And I do think more people are deciding to access it because of the contradictions in society the past few years. People that were quite happily ingrained in the matrix are going, oh, this doesn't make sense. Why does that cat keep running past me, you know?
Yeah, I think you're just noticing the cat now, and what you see as individuals realising that the lies on the news aren't necessarily what they're claimed to be. That has always been the case also. But you weren't one of them at that point. Other than that, I completely agree with you. I think it's just an individual by individual thing, and that's the bit I'm nipping at Neil's heels for, because he wants it to be a consensus agreement, and that's why he wants more people to know, the education system to change. It's like, the only thing you're going to get to change is you. That's the only thing you've got control over.
You're not understanding me. Maybe I'm speaking freaking French here. They're not teaching something that's reality. They're teaching something that's not reality, and everybody's okay with it.
But what do you want us to do about it, Neil? What do you want us to do? Let's be more productive in our discussion here. What's the ends?
What do I want us to do? Keep doing what we're doing, but I think we need to put some papers together. You educated people, start putting papers together, telling them that we know they're full of crap, and start teaching what's truth.
Okay, would it bring you comfort if you knew that was being done?
It's not that I'm not comforted. It's just that it's annoying.
No, but I'm asking.
You know,
okay, if I say that is being done, can we move on to what else you want?
yes.
What else do you want? What do you want from me, Neil? I'm putting the shoe on your foot. It's harder when it's on your foot, right?
What else do we want now? Okay, I want people to start holding the education system accountable for what they're teaching. Then from there, I want the damn curriculum changed. I want our flat earth proofs to get out there. I want some books being written on what the nature of reality really is. That you can have gas pressure without containment. How about let's start with the housekeeping questions? Let's start putting that in school.
Okay. Right. All of the things that we claim here, Neil, have been taken from mainstream quote-unquote science to begin with. You're aware of that, right?
Okay. They're claiming that we can have gas pressure without containment.
The heliocentric
Neil.
priesthood, like the church, by equivalency. Not like 2 + 2 = 6, but like the church, by equivalence.
Correct.
Right.
Neil, sorry, it's Neil.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, I'm going to make a comparison. Neil is some younger kids, and he has an older 19-year-old kid. His 19-year-old kid argues with him about the heliocentric and flat earth debate. The younger kids don't, from what I gather. They are more accepting, but his older lad is kind of, he sees it as infecting the younger ones. There's really nothing you can do about that. Look at Chocolate's partner's daughter. He never talked to her about flat earth, yet she told the teacher and got in trouble and told her mother while the teacher was on the phone, she's not going to answer these stupid questions. It's not real. And she's only, I think, 11. So maybe your older son, maybe he's just refusing to get it. But it's only a matter of time when all these 11-year-old kids grow up, just like Chocolate's partner's daughter, who know that all this heliocentrism is nonsense. But we're in a position where the age groups we're dealing with are still lost inside that. You know, they're still lost inside of it. A lot of them are still lost. These younger people coming up now, and these young kids, they have the internet. They're seeing through. You won't need to do much convincing on the majority of them. It's only a matter of time before we are the majority. But
You're-
right now, we're not.
Your oldest son has also, like everybody, got his fight or flight instincts kicking in when he recognises that society he has found himself in is a heliocentric society, a consensus-based heliocentric world that everyone agrees on, right? Well, when somebody recognises that, they know instinctually that it's in their best interests to go with the status quo. And he also recognises, because he's old enough and probably intelligent enough, to going against this will cause me harm. And therefore, you become a threat, Neil. Because what you're standing for is something that in societal terms will cause him detriment. Now, it's, for some people, really hard to say that. No, it doesn't. I can be a flat earther in society. No. Society's been geared to pour scorn, ridicule, and generally consider somebody as idiotic if they declare the nature of reality to be flat. So therefore, it's going to be a self-defense mechanism in many respects. Good. At least you trained him to recognise things that are dangerous to him. And this is, Neil, when we talk about people rolling down the hill to hell, well, what happens if he gets there and suddenly doesn't want to be? He might be there already, might be an anti-flat earther already. Miserable life that you're forcing upon him. Be like the Fonz, man. You know.
Oh, I am. You know what he did the other day? Let me give you, for instance,
Here we
because I
go.
think you might be right. We're driving, we go to the mall, and as they're walking around the mall, you know, there's some people that, you know, they just don't dress correct. Like, they got their hair combed down to the side, glasses on, and their pants up to their chest. So what does he turn around and do? He goes, Neil, there goes your flat earth buddies. How do you like that? It was
Okay.
actually funny, but this is what it is. It's ridicule now because we believe what's truth.
That's projection, though, isn't it? What's the type of person that goes and watches NASA launches? Right? I mean,
Yeah, I
seriously.
didn't think of that. I
The
didn't think
type
of
of
that.
person that's into rocket science, that they're portrayed in the movies as the dweeb character. Yeah? And we'll go back to that movie because we've discussed it recently, Don't Look Up, right? What's the guy who's punting the heliocentric model? He's the dweeby, downtrodden guy, right? And then there's the sex kitten that just sees him and wants him because why not? And there's the pop star that tells him to shut the F up, old man, and basically just treats him like shit because he's a dweeb. And they do their dweeby whiteboard stuff. That's what the heliocentric model offers. That's what the priesthood offers for their minions who buy into it. Oh, you'll be a low-level dweeb. You might work your way up to have a nice shiny waistcoat one day, but you'll still be wearing a dweeby waistcoat. Might be shiny. So when he points at them and tells you about his heliocentric rockets or whatever, that's projection, Neil. He doesn't want to be that dweeb. So he's projecting it straight onto you.
That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. That's a good one. It's true. They're the ones that got their pants hiked up to their neck.
Neil, maybe he uses this as a way to poke you. You know what I mean? If he's like you, he's your son, so he's going to be like you, and maybe this is a way he knows he can get underneath your skin. Do you know what I mean? It's like sometimes that's the way it is between fathers and sons. You know, they'll keep bashing off of each other. There's nothing you can do. You know, it's like sometimes that, and he might be holding on to this purely because it annoys you. If it stops annoying you, he'll stop maybe holding on to it.
Nah, I don't think so.
Or,
I doubt
I
it.
don't show my emotions with him. Every now and then I get a little pissed off because I want him to get it and I know he gets it. So I get pissed off and I say, Jacob, enough of the nonsense. You know Earth is not a freaking spinning water ball. End it. And I walk away. But that's been a lot less lately.
Or he meets some babe and she's a flat earther. And suddenly he's a flat earther.
No. That's a brilliant one. I immediately go into the death part of your base instincts in terms of this won't keep me safe. But no, Brian. You think that will open up his love life pool, being a flat earther, do you? Oh, really? Oh, that's going to be a hard sell. Off you go, Brian. That'll open up his love life prospects, you feel?
No, if he meets a girl who happens to be a flat earther.
That's a very slim chance.
Well, it's not.
So he goes to the cinema to watch.
No, we go
Let's
to a
just
flat
think.
earth convention.
Hold on. He's going to the cinema People don't go to flat Earth conventions, generally speaking. They go to the cinema, or they used to. Anyway, that aside, he goes to the cinema, and he's got a whole auditorium full of women. How many of them do you think are going to be flat earthers in the Don't Look Up movie theatre?
Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is...
It's my point. It's my point. Let me make my point. I haven't actually made it. Hold on, Brian. My point is, we work on don't die and reproduce. Make sure you get laid. Make sure you don't die. Well, make sure you get laid part of his brain saying, don't be a flat earther, because that's not going to do your love life any good. Oh, hi, how you doing? Yeah. You religious talk? Oh, yeah, my mum was a Catholic, but I don't do that anymore. Yeah, me too. Have you heard about these flat earthers? Yeah, I am one. Moving on, says the girl. And he'll know it.
There's a girl I saw, she's about 22. And her name is, she's an American girl. I don't know. I don't know what channel she has on YouTube or what's the story, but Hot FE Girl was her name. And she's like an absolute babe. She's 22, she's an absolute babe.
That's one.
So, right? Yeah.
That's one.
But how many guys are going to suddenly be flat earthers just to be her boyfriend? The point is that...
Maybe 10? Maybe 10? Meanwhile...
You're missing the point. The point is that his heliocentric belief he's holding on to so strong would disappear in a moment if he meets a girl who's a flat earther and he wants to be on our good side. Suddenly,
no, I don't disagree. I know plenty of people who've converted to Judaism because they met a really hot Jew chick. Yeah, I get it. I don't disagree with that. But what I'm saying is, if you decide to become a flat earther, because somehow in your mind you think, like I did when I had long hair as a guy in college. Oh, this will get me the babes. Yeah, right. You kid yourself with this stupid nonsense, right? But deep down inside, you eventually know that that's not true, you know, and you need to do something about it. Now, flat Earth's no different. If you've got something kooky that you're into, and it is generally at a societal level considered kooky, well, that's not going to do your love life any good, is it, with some kooky belief in flat Earth, from the point of view of the chick that stood in front of you?
No, but my point is, I think I'm missing the point I'm making. The point I'm making is this heliocentric belief he's holding on to so strong will disappear extremely fast when it comes to a situation like that. Suddenly,
yeah, I agree.
I don't care about it.
Why do you? No, I'm not disagreeing with that. I get your point. And I said I agree. I've seen plenty of people convert to Judaism. You're a Muslim. Oh, I'll be a Muslim for you, love. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but no, you don't, because it wouldn't matter who I met. The Earth is still going to be flat. I don't care who she is, what she looks like. I'm not going to go, it's a globe again. It's never going to happen. But it will happen the other way around. That shows the strength of what they believe in, how real it is. Not.
Only a flat earther knows the angle to getting a date. Come on.
Hold on. There's a problem with this, because I think y'all are talking cross purposes. Because one of you is talking about a belief structure, and the other one is talking about, well, I guess you could be a flat earther who believes it's flat. But if you're talking about knowing what the world is, that's not a belief.
There's a distinction there that you've drawn that I quite like, because there is that distinction. I think a lot of what we describe with anti-flat earthers projecting their fear and insecurities about their own faith directly translates onto, and I'm going to be bold and say, the majority of flat earthers. The majority of flat earthers don't really know why they're on a flat earth. I know that from watching their crappy videos about the subject. The majority of flat earthers are actually living in fear. That's why they go around banging the drum so hard, overcompensating for their own self-doubt.
Yeah.
Sort of like that illustration with the Bible the other day with Elijah and the prophets.
No.
How they cut themselves.
No, like you.
No, not like me.
Yeah,
Get
like you.
out of here.
You are the self-doubting flat earther on the panel, Neil. You just don't like.
How am I self-doubting? I am nearly flat earth.
I'll tell you. Because you wouldn't care about your sons talking about the dweeby comparison. You'd immediately just recognise it as projection, because you wouldn't care about the implication from the perspective of flat earth. you'd be at one, you'd be cool about it. That's my point. When I say be like the Fonz, what I mean by that is you can't
I laughed.
You can't just be Fonz, right? You
No,
will
no, no,
become
I
Fonz
was.
when
I
you're at one
laughed.
with this, Neil, which you're not yet.
No.
Your
No, no,
actions
no, no.
prove it.
I laughed. It was funny. I didn't let him know. I'm letting you know.
Yeah, but Nathan, what Nathan is trying to say to you is there's people in my family, right, and people I'm friends with, and they're not flat earthers. Now, none of them come to me and say, well, what about this thing for the globe or whatever? And I go, oh, yeah, you must be right. No, I let them know in no uncertain terms. I'll debunk anything they bring towards me. But I don't care if they're not flat earthers. At one time, I used to be more like, I want them to be flat earthers. Now, if you don't want, I don't mind. Do what you want. As I said, I don't care how beautiful a girl is or how much I'd be crazy about her. If she's a baller, she's a baller. I'm always going to be a flat earther. I don't need her to be a baller. If she's got kids, I don't need them to be flat earthers.
The problem is my son is very smart. He is, and when he hits the brakes at this, it frustrates me because I know he's smarter than this.
There's maybe 10-4. John might be able to help me. I'm not sure where it is, but there's a bit of scripture. And I think it's in the early church, and I think Christian women converts are coming to the head. I'm not sure whether it's Peter or Paul that they're talking to about whether they should divorce their husband, or how can they convert their husband to Christianity? What should they do? And the advice is similar to Nathan's. Be like the Fonz. Yeah? Go and be happy in your Christianity and show your husband the impact it has on your life. Yeah? Don't try and convert him. And when he sees how happy you are and content you are in it, he'll want that too.
Oh, you think he doesn't see how happy I am? I'm
I
happy.
don't
I'm
think he does.
happy. I'm bursting with
We
love.
just spent 20 minutes with you yelling at us.
No, I vent to you guys. I don't vent to him. I said every now and then he'll piss me off to the point where I tell him knock it
get
off.
It, Neil. Right, I know. Yeah, you're saying you get it out here. You're not like that in the moment. You're smiling like. I get what you're trying to get across to us, but the aura, the vibe you will give off, right, goes beyond the words that you're using in the moment or how you think you're being perceived. It's a state of mind that you just can't help emanate if it's true. If it's real, you're not caring about it. Believe me, it comes over in spades. Yeah? If you do care deeply about it, as you do in this regard, because you're telling us how much you care about it. Yeah? So it's not one you'll get around the I am being cool about it, because we wouldn't be discussing if that was the case. Do you see what I mean?
Can I jump in quick?
Yeah, sure.
No, I'm just saying.
Just let Neil respond. Right,
no. And the only thing is this. Here's the only thing. I am happy, and he sees it. But he comes with some things, and what am I going to do? Not answer him? I'm going to answer him with the knowledge I have. And he can't get around that. So it is a little frustrating because I know he's smarter than this, okay? That's it. I don't go around swinging a freaking back. Be a flat earther. That's not what I do.
Neil.
Listen, I know what you're talking about, Adam.
Hold on.
And there's a saying. It says, preach the gospel, and when necessary, use words. I get it.
Just live it. It was the advice. Is you don't need to preach it.
Well,
Yeah. Well,
You didn't hear what I said.
He's 19.
Adam,
get some
But
control.
I hear what I
Right, just go.
say.
Everyone should be quiet for a second.
Adam,
Righteous
I'm
is
gonna
go.
just support
Righteous
you.
will go in a second. I just want to read out Godzilla super chat and then it'll be righteous. Go ahead. In a second. Triggered Neil is the best Neil, says Godzilla 37. The Fonz was always boring. POV, the peanut gallery. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat, Godzilla 37. Righteous Force, go ahead.
Right, Adam was talking about 1 Peter 3:1 and 2, I believe. And we're told there likewise, you wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if they obey not the word, so in other words, they're not listening to you, like Adam explained, that they may also without the word, so without the word, may be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. So in other words, by your good example, as Adam explained.
I understand that. I know. It says there was a famous preacher who said, Preach the gospel always, and when necessary, use words. In other words, live it. Yes, I understand.
Well, was that? Was it?
I-
What was the reference? Righteous? Was it 1 Peter? You said.
What was the chapter and verse you just read out, Righteous Force?
He's playing video games again.
Yeah, he's tied up. He's having a gun battle with somebody because he's like that. Oh, yes, and Jesus said to the disciples, "Die, scum! Die, die, die!"
Wait. That was on mute. I just got home on my
That's
game's
hilarious.
not fired up. I said 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1 and verse 2. Sorry
Thank you.
about that.
Get that.
Hello,
Out.
Good
Chocolate.
morning, guys.
Hey, Chocolate.
Chop.
Did you get that? Out?
Hey, chocolate.
Just as an aside, before where's Arwin?
I don't know.
Arwen wasn't here
disappeared.
yesterday either.
No, I've rang him as well. No answer for a couple of days. I don't know. Shout out, Arwin. Get in touch.
I haven't kept up with the show the last couple of days.
He's not done it.
Oh, is he
It's
not?
been weird. No, that's why I was asking. And
I hope he has a
I'll
couple of
say,
days off.
yeah.
Good. The chances are, if I guess, he's knackered. He's worn out, burnt out, and is having a bit of a break. You know, I've been trying to convince him for about 6 months that he needs to cut down his schedule a little bit. Now he's well and truly established. He doesn't need to do 7 days a week. But he's like, no, I must.
His show was going on yesterday still when this show started, if I'm correct. I think, because I remember seeing our one was live, and it was 2:14, like 14 minutes past 2 in the UK. Well, UK time, like, and you started too. So you were on. I think he was still going at that point. I think so. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty
you
sure
are
that was
wrong.
yesterday.
No, last stream was 2 days ago for half an hour.
Maybe he's sick.
Body
Maybe.
Poor Arwen has got some stamina. I'll tell you what, he's got some stamina to have done this as long as he has, with the amount of abuse we're expected to take.
Yeah, but I went on his
Oh.
show the other day. I went in the chat, and then everything just shut down. It was gone. I couldn't get back on his show. This was 3 days ago.
Could have technical issues. We'll find out.
Maybe he's got a temporary ban.
Really? Maybe. We'll find out. We'll establish what's going on with Owen. I'll drop him a line. Why you make me do this, Nathan? Why you make me do super chat? Funniest show ever. I don't think I actually heard him
Absolutely.
correctly. So Travis, shout out to you. That's the plain truth. Said he corrected me about what he was saying, and I can't remember what he actually corrected me with. But listening
So
back,
why don't you walk me through this?
that was it. Why don't you walk me through this? Is what he actually said. So shout out to Travis, who was the first to point that out.
So what? It's funnier the way you did it.
No,
That
and
was
it doesn't make any difference to the
hysterical.
joke. I'm not saying that, but it's just interesting point, because me being English, him being American, when he's all high pitched and exasperated, I couldn't understand him. Also, there's a language, if you will, barrier, as well as the high pitched over exasperation in his voice, which was hysterical. That's what the joke was about, not necessarily the words. It didn't matter what the words were, but it was just still interesting that, you know, even then I still didn't quite hear what he said correctly, but an American did just go, no, what he was actually saying was, what was it again, Neil? Walk me through this, or something like that.
Why don't you walk me through this?
Yeah,
Right.
Nathan, why didn't you hold his hand and walk him through it?
That was
I
comedy.
mean, isn't that what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to walk people through their own claims. I mean, yeah, that's
Exactly.
how that works, right?
That
Took
checks
the words
out.
out of my mouth, Chocolate. Why don't I walk him through his claim about how you'll measure a flat Earth with 2 straight lines? I should be walking through him with his claim, because it's his and that.
Until later on, he tells you how irrelevant the surface is when trying to measure the surface.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
it's getting an R value from the surface, and the R value is going to be from the surface to the centre of his presupposed spherical Earth. But when we point out that one of the angles he's going to be measuring needs a flat Earth to measure, he's like, it's nothing to do with the surface. And Neil, to his credit, has been saying this for about a week straight or longer. They don't want to talk about the surface. It's like, yeah, but at some point they've got to, haven't they? That's their claim, that it's curved and that.
Well, it's always minus from 90. So you have to have straight baseline. It can never be a curved adjacent. So whatever it is, you have to minus it from 90. And what's a 90?
Right, it's part of a
That's
box.
why.
Two straight lines, baby.
That's why I have been going on and on and on about the dip in height of Y correction, because then they have to reference, they have to deal with the surface, they have to address it. They have to address it then, and that's why I love that argument.
Well, the dip of I can't even talk. The height of I is only for the natural horizon. All you need is a true horizontal, which is a solid baseline. That's all you need. But you can't do that in the ocean with a pan of mercury, because the boat's going left and right and up and down. So when the artificial sextant works on land and when the bubble sextant works in the air, what do you use at sea when those two things cannot be used? You use the actual horizon, but since you're 14 feet above it, you have to bring it down so they have a true 90. So that true 90 gives you a true horizontal as well at your eye level. It's just transposes. The minute you make the correction, you got your 90.
That seals it for the flat earth. I think what Bry's saying, and it is true, is if they want to do that and they've got that dip correction, it's lovely because it makes them deal with the horizon. It not just deal with it, it forces them to reify it into a physical edge. And as soon as they've done that, they're done. Their claim's gone, hasn't it, because of Black Swan. But as soon as they do grasp onto it, pull up the diagrams that Brian's showing, it's a clear categorical statement. It takes them back to the Isle of Man. They're reifying the horizon as the edge, and we're happy for them to do that.
Yeah.
Well, the point.
That's true. That's true.
Point,
and well, go on, Brian. I'll finish.
Yeah, sorry. The point that's most important to me is after the dip and height of Y correction, because then they have to deal with that. Gives them their straight line radius of the circle of equal altitude. That's their zenith distance, and they have to deal with that being on the surface of the Earth, and that being a straight line along the surface. And that's why they come up with these stupid ways of doing angles that avoids the surface, and they don't want to talk about the surface. They don't want to deal with curved adjacent, because that is where all these things are all based on the surface. The base of that 90-degree angle, that is the surface under those conditions. And they avoid it like the plague.
Absolutely, we'll get to 10th man in a sec, 10th. But you said it beautifully when you said that correction takes them to the pure geometry, and the pure geometry is a flat straight line, as you just described. Go ahead, 10th.
No, that's the whole point of the circle of equal altitude. It's equidistant from any part of that circle to the GP of the star or sun. So if it's a 3,000 mile distance, the diameter is 6,000 miles, because someone on the other side of where you are taking the section reading, if they happen to be on the same degree angle, is getting the same 3,000. So that's 6,000 miles of flat baseline. That's a given. They're dead, because guess what? Angles can never happen from a curved surface. So of course it's flat all the way to the GP of the sun. It's over for them.
I remember when you first told me that, 10th man, I was like, what?
Yeah.
We lost you, Neil.
Yeah, we lost you.
That was a short memory.
It's a great argument, and it's beautifully assisted by the Black Swan, because the moment they have to, as Adam points out, reify the horizon into their sphere edge, they're dead. That's the end of their argument. Every moment that they spent in the last 24 months, nearly 25 months, of telling us how refracted the lines to the horizon are, it's game over. They haven't got a geometric horizon. They've told us they haven't got it anymore. The moment they need it to be one, they're suddenly all, drawing straight lines to it. No. Oh, how quickly we forget the 24 straight months of you chanting refraction at us. So Adam's got it spot on. They've come full circle, and they've got nowhere to go anymore. It's beautiful.
You remember early on I said the Black Swan gave birth to the Sexton research, and the Sexton research is going to bring everyone back to the Black Swan. That's the full circle. I love it.
It's epic.
What,
They need Earth curve. Earth curve is the geometric physical limitation to your view claimed to be the horizon. That's what Earth curve is. And they've debunked it when they claim it's a physical tangent point, because they've refracted it. So then you get back to actually needing the horizon. But what geometry are you utilising it for? Well, you're using it for horizontal, where the name itself is derived from. Horizon? Well, that geometry is flat. And that's how you're measuring angles from the ground. So anytime any glober or anti-flat earther says the word angle, it's game over immediately. It's brilliant. Go ahead, Tenth.
Well, can I just say something before 10th?
Well, it's actually Brian. I was done. Go, Brian.
Put your picture up, right? Because I think that'll help. That
I posted it to Ballbusters yesterday if Nathan wants to throw it up there. I'm just on my phone at the moment. I'd have to go turn on my computer and everything. But I actually think we don't even, you don't even need to argue the Black Swan when it comes to what they're doing. Because their dip goes to a geometric horizon, mathematical horizon that doesn't exist. But then after they do their dip, they must do height of void correction, which makes everything horizontal underneath the boat or the person. You're dealing with the surface, the actual surface of the earth then. So they're then begging the question of a mathematical horizon that doesn't exist. Doesn't matter, because when they complete the corrections, it's dip, then height of void. When they complete those corrections, they end up with a horizontal plane.
Right.
We may not even need Black Swan. I'm just saying for that instance. Go on, sorry, John.
Well, I'm just going to go back to their horizontal is a curve. So if that's what they're doing, they still have the same problem. How do you get an angle from a curved adjacent? It's a brutal death in every direction they turn.
Well, if you look at that diagram, that man is standing on a flat plane. Now, they can start off by claiming a tangent, right, which they need a globe for and an R value. But it doesn't matter because when they do the dip to their mathematical horizon, and then they do the height of void correction, right, what happens, they ends up with a horizontal underneath them. And how big is their tangent then? What happens if that horizontal is 3,500 miles? And then and that's only the radius of their circle of equal latitude. Double that, you'd be talking 7,000 miles. No, in a straight line.
It's a big problem because they've got such a tiny ball. The Earth as a sphere is teeny little tiny ball. And when you do triangulation, you end up with areas that are flat, and must be, you're measuring angles from them, that are vastly bigger than the ball below it when you depict it this way. So what Brian said is, what happens if this line, so you've got your imaginary horizon that doesn't exist, you've made your correction for it, and then you've done your height of I to give you a flat line. But instead of being this distance, which is by scale, what, a couple of thousand miles, let's say it's 6,000 miles or 7,000 miles. It's perceivably that big of a circle, and the ball doesn't even fit below it. That's the first circle you draw. What about the second circle that's over here somewhere? And the third circle, it could be hundreds of thousands of square miles, all flat. None of it works with this teeny tiny little ball underneath. It's ludicrous.
Maybe that's why you could fit 3 of them in one of the moon's craters.
But you know what? That's funny. That they should have left it more at speculation. I think it's them actually trying to give actual distances for these things is what actually messed them up.
Well, they had to
left it as speculation.
They had
They
to
would have been better off. Sorry.
They had to fix it because they tied it to the celestial movements and derived a circumference from the equator.
That's the fundamental point again, and where you just Black Swan and look at the picture. Look at what the height of I correction is doing in their world. Yeah, the way in which we line everything up is to a physical geometric edge. And by accepting dip correction in their world, like I say, they go back to the Isle of Man. They're going back, making a positive assertion that the horizon is the leading edge of a sphere. That's what it says in their maths. That's how they justify it in their maths and what they're doing in their head, in their world. Yeah. But in doing so, it's a fundamental premise of that the horizon is the leading edge of the ball.
May I? If the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to horizon measurement could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, precisely as being asserted in this diagram. However, the horizon distance measurement in the black swan imagery is significantly beyond the geometric limitations of a sphere Earth radius 3959. Therefore, the Earth is not a sphere and the horizon is not a physical, geometric limitation called Earth curve. Now, for the last 24 months, we have been told by our opponents, well, this line, labelled with a tangent point at H, is bent. Refracted, right, lads? Yeah. So this is not going to work because you don't have H. H doesn't exist beyond the maths. It's refracted. The geometric horizon only exists in the maths. End quote, the rumpus. We wouldn't expect to see physical geometry plan a walk. Nobody's claiming to see the geometric horizon. AB science. What is it? No Atmo Day? Multiple chanting anti-flat earth fundies with a declaration that this line isn't possible anymore and this point labelled H doesn't exist. That's what you've told us. We can't see it. It doesn't exist. We wouldn't expect to see it. What is it? No Atmo Day? So total fail. Chanting refraction for 24 months means when you throw up a diagram like this with a straight line to a geometric horizon, we're going to laugh and say, hello, Black Swan, didn't you just spend 2 years telling us how you didn't have this? Meanwhile, Brian's point is even if you let them have it, what do they do with it? Well, then they bring it back down to a horizontal line that has absolutely sod all to do with the curved surface they think the Earth is, because they can't measure an angle from this curved surface. So they make it a horizontal plane labelled P. Sod all to do with their bloody belief in a sphere Earth, and everything to do with a flat baseline, flat Earth that's suddenly hovering above a sphere Earth belief that they have, with a line they can't get anymore, to a geometric horizon that only exists in maths. It's a complete fail on the globe's part. It's epic. Tell us this is refracted, lads.
They're even telling us that it's flat. Listen to the last few shows.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
go
several
on.
people want to go, but I just want to reply to what Neil's just said. The reason they're telling us it's flat, Neil, is because up until now, the order of the day for an anti-flat earther / globe believer is to assume Earth's a sphere in the first instance. Now, in this example, they have to measure on line P. That's a flat Earth. So step one, when taking a measurement, is measure it on this flat baseline, P. In all of their own descriptions of how it's done with P, this flat baseline. Not the curved adjacent below they all believe in. So when they describe step one to us, and we point out that they're measuring a flat Earth, this line P, they say, well, I haven't got to begging the question yet. Now, do you know what Wally's line of defence was? He told my chat commenters and commenters underneath the video from 2 days ago that I, Nathan Oakley, was begging the question of a sphere Earth for him. That is literally his defence. When he measured a flat Earth for a baseline to measure an angle that can only be achieved on a flat Earth, because you can't measure one with a curved adjacent, he assumed that I was assuming a sphere Earth for him. That was his defence for measuring a flat Earth. They think I'm begging the question for them because they can't. They've got to have it flat first. So that's me begging the question of a sphere according to Where's Wally. You couldn't make this stuff up.
I was going to say that the whole heart of position finding using celestial navigation is to establish the distance between two zeniths. The zenith of the star and the zenith of the observer holding the angle measuring device known as the sextant. That distance, you're using an angle measuring device. It cannot work on a curve adjacent. So P is the line that it's only working on. The rest is just ridiculous drawings.
So for the audience's benefit, I'll just draw out what 10th man's describing. He's describing a zenith for this individual on Brian's diagram. And the zenith is going to be parallel with a zenith that meets at 90 degrees for the star. So if you say that where my mouse is now is going to be the star that's being measured, the angle coming down to the sextant in this dude's hand. Well, that line from his zenith, I'm drawing with my mouse now, is going to be completely parallel with the zenith of the star he's measuring, creating a box with 90-degree angles. Now that's only possible on this line, P. You can't do that with a curved adjacent. So all of these measurements that all of these fundies will be making in the first instance will require Earth to be flat to do it at all. Any angle measurement will require that they have this box. 10th's description of a zenith here versus a parallel zenith here for the star. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, well, firstly, I just want to say that that diagram, I know I presented it, but it's actually from the Davis Sextant Manual. So it's not even mine. It's an official diagram. So it's an official admittance, basically. The other thing I was going to say is whereas Wally was saying the other day was that the angle lines were not parallel. But does he not realize that if you're taking an angle, like Wolfie was taking an angle from Sydney, he was in Dubbo. Dubbo was at a higher elevation, and the two of them were taking an angle to the same object in the sky. But because they're at two different positions, the angle lines aren't going to be parallel, are they? Because your angles are going to be different. Each one of them are going to have a different angle. So he was saying, but the angles were not parallel. Like, why does he not understand why the angles are not parallel? They're not parallel because you're in two different places. You have two different angles. Does he think that somehow that if the Earth, like, is he thinking that if the Earth was flat, they'd have to be parallel?
Don't try and read into the mind of an idiot.
I understand.
In his mind, when he's measuring a flat plane, Brian, as I've just explained, in his mind, he's got it figured out and he's justifying it to my commenters that I'm begging the question for him at that stage because he's got to measure it flat. So obviously, the flat Earth opponent's assuming a sphere at that stage. That's what he's told himself. You know, we're dealing with people who are delusional's not the right word. I can't think of a better, more extreme word than delusional.
Well, there's actually more to his claim that he didn't get to make, but I don't know if he was going to make it. There was two other things. One is that they didn't actually choose a celestial object. They chose what he claimed to be geocentric satellites that were, I think, 35,000 miles away or something like that, or 3,500 miles away.
Has he not redone it then with a star, Brian? Because I ripped that apart, me and Mitchell, month before Christmas.
Yeah, I don't know.
I remember that being discussed. I was going to say it was several months ago, but yeah, I remember discussing that.
But there's something else as well. Within his claim, I think, as far as I know, I didn't get a definite off him, but as far as I know, there's 7/6 at it. How can you be measuring an R and then if you need 7/6 R? Do you know what I mean? I think, I could be wrong, but I think he added 7/6 R. And I remember saying this to him in a comment. And I don't remember getting a reply to that particular comment. Maybe I did, but I don't remember it.
Well,
I'm pretty sure because I said it to him twice.
As much as he's coming in my way, he's being shuffled this way by several other people. One of them's Dirth. So Dirth did get back in touch and was like, yeah, the idiot keeps claiming the same thing that's been debunked and doubling down on it. So eventually Dirth did get in touch yesterday because I proactively said, look, tell Wally if he's in touch with you, he ain't getting any Bitcoin. And he did get back in touch and say, yeah, he keeps coming back to me and doubling down over and over again with the same debunked nonsense. So I'm like, okay, fine. At least Dirth does know about this guy. Fine. But he's being told it by multiple different parties, Brian. It's not just us that are telling him this. It's been debunked by Mitch. Adam's obviously got a memory of doing the same thing. Someone in the comment section said exactly that, gave a 2 or 3 sentence, I can't remember who it was to credit them, but 2 or 3 sentence summary of exactly what you've just discussed. And he ignored it completely. Just say like, okay, what do you want? If you're going to just ignore all rebuttals and keep chanting that you've won, it's like, well, what am I talking about? That's what Dirth's telling me he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, there was the two things I first hit on with him with this claim was elevation angles, because he brought it to me weeks before Christmas. Because I remember showing it to Adam or posting it to Adam, because I knew Adam. I knew there was some tomfoolery going on with it, and I just surface level looked at it. I said, "You're using elevation angles," and I said, I think I remember saying, I do remember writing this, but I don't know if I stated it because it was in the video or I said it to him. You adding 7/6R. So it's like you're using elevation angles that can't happen on a sphere, and you're adding 7/6R. So where is your proof? I said of this R value, and he didn't want to know. He actually said to me a few different times since then that you were reviling and scared of his video. I said, Nathan doesn't even know about your video. He doesn't care.
However, if he does want me to watch it specifically, he can pay me to watch it. I'll give up my time. Just, I don't know, £100. I'll watch your shitty video. No worries. But if he thinks I'm spending my time, a lot of them are under this. It's that. What's the word? If I was here, I'm sure it's something like gamma, but similar. It's not, but I can't remember which one. Where they genuinely think the world revolves around them. In other words, in this example,
I think it is gamma.
Is it?
Yeah.
Secret King. Right. Okay. If it is, it is. But they're genuinely under the misapprehension that because they've made, in this example, a video about me, therefore, obviously, I've given it Nathan. I've given it my full attention, obviously, because they've made it about me. And you're like, no. Why not? It's like the world doesn't revolve around you. Suddenly, because you've done something that you think has influence on me because you put my name on it, doesn't mean it does. But they're under the misapprehension that their influence is so overpowering and what's the word that's godly?
Permeating?
Omniscient. What's the word?
Omniscient. I can't
Omnipotent.
say that.
Omnipotent. That's the one. We got there in the end. Well, they're not. It's just like delusional.
Nathan, the world doesn't revolve around him. Is that a heliocentric slip up?
Just to turn a phrase, Neil. Just to turn a phrase.
I've found the bit. I've gone back in my notebook. So what it was a heliocentric satellite that they'd done all this stuff to calculate the differences to then demonstrate R. But as we pointed out, it was a satellite. So these things weren't off to infinity. Therefore, you did have to take into account the simple fact that there's a distance between them and one would drop in altitude more because it does have a physical location, this satellite. So I think I did the number I've got. I'm trying to read it here. It looks like when I redid the maths for him and took that into account and redid his angles, is all that was. That was it, wasn't it? Because he was going. It's only 2% off. It's only 2% off of what permanently. But when we redid the maths, instead of whatever it was, I think it comes out as 2,142 based R. So he was miles out in the end, and I think he even admitted defeat on this. So I'd say unless they've gone off and
vaguely
done
mentioned it, didn't he? Because I very distinctly remember you doing that. I remember us having a good chuckle after you'd done the maths. But when he came in and actually spoke to us, he almost disclaimed it like, well, I've done it, but I've also redone it, and it's much better now. Because we'd already debunked it. By we, I mean Adam.
It's always a group we. So I don't know what he's why he's bringing that old. Actually, like I say, he might have done it with a star, but even then, it's all supposition based, isn't it? If the Earth is a ball, then I can interpret this as this with this and this.
No, but he can't. He's using an elevation angle. He's proving it's flat.
Yeah.
And as Brian just said, and we just discussed, he's also then put in a 7/6R, so all his straight lines are bent anyway by at least that much. It's just.
Where did he get the R? Do you know what I mean? That's what I said to him.
Circular reasoning, isn't it?
Elevation angles.
Circular reasoning.
Angles to stars.
Yeah, he's proving a flat Earth with his angles to stars, and he's circular reasoning his way around 7/6R when he's supposed to be measuring R. But I'll insert R to get it. You're like, what? But then you've got bent lines.
And fundamentally, it's back to first year flat Earth, isn't it? The old pool table. Why are we measuring, looking at the balls when we want to describe what the balls are on? You know?
Right. Exactly. Works the other way around by justification, in case anyone pulls us up. I was just about to round out, Adam. Thanks for that. We don't claim we can get heights and elevations of the moon and the stars. What we do is assert how it actually functions when utilising triangulation. And the first step in doing so is establishing a flat baseline. Your elevation angle proves Earth's flat. Now, if you want to take that further and imply that we're giving you heights of the star, we're not. Absolutely not doing that. What we are doing is saying, no matter who's doing it, us or you, you're establishing the Earth as flat in the first instance when you do it. Measuring an angle, that is. Anyone got any last remarks to that before I round out and ask people to stay tuned?
I just want to say thank you to them.
I have 3 things. 1, elevation angle. He's using elevation angles, so he needs flat Earth for that. 2, he's adding 7/6R, which requires R. He's supposed to be measuring R. 3, his first video involved something that's supposed to be thousands of miles away from a globe Earth in a heliocentric space. You can't have gas pressure without a container.
With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!